Attention, new agents. This is me, Dr. Byron Brimstone, Director of the OMEN. That's the Office for Occult Monitoring, Examination, and Negation. I'm here to give you a short intro into the adventures of the OMEN Investigations team. Join us on a comedy role-playing podcast set in the modern world, where 3 agents travel the globe to deal with demons, cultists, and conspiracy theories. Follow the exploits of Koala Jackson, an amnesiac Australian with a dark history.
Yeah.
Annabelle St. John, a gun-sticking girl from the deep south.
Is it a gun cult or is it a pony cult?
And Dr. Martin, a disgraced former professor from Sweden.
I mean, I am from Sweden.
If you like listening to people search for monsters, aliens, entities from beyond the void, and other such hoo-ha, then you should check out Omen Investigations on all good podcast apps. Brimstone out. Dolores, remind me why we're podcasting our top-secret operations again.
Those are funny, Mr. Brimstone.
Right.
Welcome one and all to Merely Roleplayers, where theatrical people play role-playing games. I'm Matt, I am your compere for this episode of Deja Vu Backstage. I'm joined by Dave.
Hello.
I'm joined by Ellie.
Hello.
And Alex.
Hello.
And finally, last but not least, Josh.
Good morning.
Hello.
Hello.
You're looking very dapper today.
Thank you very much. I thought it was a special occasion. I thought maybe we should dress up. Not everybody got the memo. But I thought I'd make an effort.
Yeah, if you check our Twitter and my Instagram, I'm sure you'll be able to see some evidence of... This is the interview segment of Merely Roleplayers, and it feels very interview-like right now.
Can I just say thank you for having me here for your time today, Mr. Boothman.
So we're gonna take a look back, a retrospective, if you will, at your time on the previous 9 seasons of this silly podcast that we do. So, remind us, first of all, which seasons people will recognise your voice from, Josh.
Okay, you may have heard me previously from season 4, Let's Get Gideon.
Yes.
The heist drama. And from
Way back when.
And also season 9 of Let's Get Shipwrecked. Prospero? The good ship Prospero?
Yes, you were a Prospero.
I was a Prospero.
Yes.
Great.
And then the Viola came after you.
Viola came after me.
Yeah.
Very good. So yeah, just the 2 seasons for me. But 2 very exciting, quite action-heavy seasons, I think.
Yes. So the first thing that I want to talk about is memorable moments. So obviously one of them is slightly fresher potentially in the mind than the other. But is there a moment from either of those seasons that you still think about a lot?
Well, spoiler alert for anyone listening at home that hasn't caught up yet. Shame on you for not catching up.
These Backstage episodes are going to be full of spoilers for the previous seasons.
Moments that really stick in the mind. I mean, for me personally, I realise that a lot of the sessions that I do and a lot of the scenes I get involved in are quite action heavy, and maybe that's sort of where my brain ends up taking me. So I remember the finale of Let's Get Gideon with Chris and with Ellie and with Dave in our full heist gear. And just the image of me rattling down a busy London street in a motorbike with Dave in the sidecar with his little goggles on and our ladder attached to the side, Wallace and Gromit style. And then the thoughts of both Chris and Ellie, very much the faces of the operation pretending to be police officers. And everybody just firing off their various moves at once, with the smashing cars using the armoured van and trying to shoot
poorly.
out. It all went awfully. It all went very, very badly, but it had those tropes of sort of putting together a classic action scene in role-playing where you all take a second, and you all think about, right, what are we going to do? And you say it, and you're like, oh, this is going to be good. And you all start to build, and you're like, yeah, if Ellie smashes into the side of that police car, great, I'm going to wheel around the side of it, and Dave's going to go and smack one of the guys off his bike, and it's sort of it all comes together. So for me, as like the epic finale to that season, it really worked quite nicely. And I think as well, because it'd been quite role play heavy and quite encounter, quite encounter heavy.
Lots of sort of talking and sort of like conning people face to face rather than being quite actiony.
Lots of planning. Exactly, to lead up to that big moment. And so it was almost like a chance for us to dispel some of that energy, a lot of nervous energy, because so much had gone wrong. I can't repeat, I can't say that enough, that how much had gone wrong. And that is credit to you as a games master to say, you know what, let's try and give them a slither of hope, as opposed to just ending
still win.
And you still win, it's all okay, guys, despite
and there
your
was
terrible
the real life tension of Chris having to go home quite soon, so the speed of everything was just getting faster and faster.
Yeah, absolutely.
I have to say, my most memorable moment of you in Merely Roleplayers is also from that season, but it's specifically you undercover with your boss in Gideon's security firm, Chuck Barnhoff, who we made up on the day. And just an exchange we had about your intensity.
Sir. Yeah. That was odd, because at the time I didn't realise quite how sexual it would sound. When I listened to it again, it sounded very, very tense. And that wasn't the intention at all. But you know, that's the wonderful thing about role-playing games. Just things happen.
It was such a good vocal performance that I could tell how close you were to his face.
The line intensity was about 3 centimetres away. It was nose to nose.
You were getting your oxygen from his mouth. That's how close it was.
100%. Yeah. No, that was great. I like that scene.
Yeah, and it was very quick. It was quick fire improvisation, and it kept me on my toes. And you know, there's those other meanings. People read things into the art, like where once it's out in the world, people can put whatever interpretations they want on things. So this has an actual influence on the game we're playing today. So because your most memorable moment comes from season 4, Let's Get Gideon, I would like you to put a +1 on your sheet from that game. Ooh. And this is basically going to make it easier for you to remember your skills from that life, that version of yourself in the game we're going to play today.
Great.
Next, is there, out of the 2 that you've done, is there a story that you feel like you would want to revisit, that you feel like there's more story to tell and that you feel like it'd be interesting to do another session of?
I'd quite like to explore the island more from season 9, because I think the limitless opportunities for mysteries and for set pieces and for dangers and for wild animals and for exploding geysers and for lava flow. As I said in that season, I'm a real map nerd, and so being able to draw the map as we were going along was so cool. It was so much fun, and it meant we got to set the other guys up for where they landed on the other side of the island, which was an amazing thing as well. I'd like to go to the island, and I'd like to explore a bit more.
Yeah, maybe it could be an archipelago. You could build yourself some coracles.
Absolutely.
Head to the next island in the chain.
Swim to the next island, go set up civilization, and see what happens from there. Because I felt the way that we played that season, certainly the Prospero team, it felt very perilous from the start, and it didn't seem to let up at any point. We didn't have many sort of plateauing moments of calm. We went from
a volcano, and now you're falling off a cliff.
Yeah, one danger to the other. And so I know that Strat obviously built himself a wonderful, technically ingenious shelter and sort of set up a base camp. But for me, I kind of wanted to explore, and so we were at odds in that regard slightly. But I'd like to play again and try and set up a Robinson Crusoe style Swiss Family Robinson establishment.
Yeah,
a town.
So that's sort of wanting to revisit in the sense of there's more of the world to explore there. Are there any? Is there anything from the seasons that you've done where you feel like you have unfinished business or regrets that you'd like to, like things that you would want to do over or that you didn't get to do that you'd like to do?
Going back to Gideon, I think because things did go wrong and because I did get discovered in my undercover in my undercover guise, Max Wiles, he was shown to be a fraud and
I think
exposed.
it was tasering that guard that did it.
I didn't taser the guard. I was playing with the taser and sort of zapping the air.
And he just walked onto the end of the taser.
And he walked onto the end of the
That's his fault.
taser.
It's his fault. That would stand up. That would.
No, Gideon came down from his bedroom and was really annoyed at all the noise, and it was entirely my fault. So I think having built up so much undercover and having done so many roleplay scenes with Chuck and with gaining intel, to then have it all sort of fall to bits because, let's be fair, I was a complete fool, was tough. And so if I were to play it again, I'd quite like to try and go a little bit further and try and remain a bit more undercover, a bit more conspicuous, I think.
So, because your first answer was Prospero and Viola, we're going to get a +1 on that sheet as well.
Marvellous, thank you.
Because that's one that you feel like you want to revisit. It's got a strong connection with you. Quickfire round. Of the two that you've played, which version of yourself that you've played was the closest to what you're really like, and which was the furthest away?
Out of the two, you know what? I'm going to give a really crappy answer. I think they're both like me, because one is very much kind of like the physical aspects of my personality, running, climbing trees and being silly and running off by myself, and the other side is the more sort of mentally being able to focus and come up with long cons and role-playing and stuff. Maybe Josh of the Jungle was a little bit more like me.
Do you want? Shall we throw this one open to the floor?
Character assassination time.
Who thinks Heist Josh is closer to real Josh, and who thinks Island Josh is closer?
I think Island Josh is probably more closer, personally. The air of the flamboyant has a tendency of sneaking out.
Wildcard baby.
Yeah,
exactly. Catchphrase in that season.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think your attachment to your sequins rang true. But I don't know, there were a lot of... It's difficult because I was in the season with Josh for Heist, and there were a lot of moments where you made decisions where I thought, yeah, that sounds like that's something you would do.
Poor decisions. It's the high risk, high reward thing, you know.
Yeah, and boy, did we get a high reward.
Really didn't.
No. I agree that Island Josh is probably closer to real life.
All right, in which case, so Island Josh is getting another +1.
Wow.
So that takes it up to a +2. But that means Heist Josh is getting a -1, so that's now down to neutral.
Right, well, we know that he's prone to failure anyway, so I think maybe if we just throw Heist Josh under the bus, so to speak.
So finally, and pressure's off because this part doesn't have any bearing on how the game's going to run. We've been through 9 different genres in this podcast so far. Are there any that we haven't done that you wish we had done or wish we could do in the future?
I was thinking about this. I'm a big fan of the horror genre in general, and you and Alex have certainly played a game of 10 Candles with me, another very good RPG, which is about building tension, about building this idea about trying to survive against the odds. Whether or not that style would work with the propensity with our group to be silly and to make silly noises and voices, whether or not you'd be able to balance those two very differing styles is to be seen.
The closest we've got to horror was season 1, our ghost story, and that evolved very quickly into Bovril-based shenanigans. So
that's what we remember, but
yeah,
there was quite a lot of ghost bits.
There was ghost action as well. Yeah.
So I'd like to see a sort of, a classic, either a 1930s Escape from the Mummy or Escape from Frankenstein, or a sort of more modern, classic zombie infested city, people really going against the odds, and that would bring the danger up and the tension up in the group a lot more. If it wasn't a case of just finding honeycomb or just trying to con somebody, if it was a case of trying to do something a bit more.
28 plays later.
Nice.
You have to do a play a day in order to kill the zombie population.
Wow. Yeah, no, I like that.
Oh wow,
did it.
Coming this Halloween season at the Ariadne Theatre, probably.
Yeah, probably.
Play of the Dead, that could be another one.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Okay. Well, maybe we'll see that in the future, but hopefully very soon we will see Heist Josh and Island Josh again. Josh, you're ready to play?
I'm ready to play. I am the island and the island is me. Let's go.
You've been listening to Merely Roleplayers. In this season, you'll hear Ellie Pitkin, Alex Pankhurst, Josh Yard and Dave, Chris Starkey, Chris Buxey and Chris, Helen Stratton, Ellen Gould, Natalie Winter and Strat, all playing various versions of themselves, along with special guest appearances by Ellie Pitkin as Nia and the Space Jam Continuum podcast's Chris McLennan as Candice. I'm Matt, and I edited and produced the season, wrote and performed the theme music, and designed and ran the game we're playing. Like most of our games, this one's powered by the Apocalypse. You can find more games in this genre at apocalypse-world.com/pbta. If you enjoy Merely Roleplayers, let us know with a review or rating on Apple Podcasts, Podchaser, or wherever you do your listening. You can also find us on Twitter at Merely Roleplay, at facebook.com/merelyroleplayers, and at merelyroleplayers.com. Merely Roleplayers is an independent production in association with Blackshaw Theatre Company. Join us for more drama next episode.